Back everyone. Next, we have a presentation by Dr. Islam El Ghonemi on the best practices in the field of architecture and urban design. He's a professor at the Department of Architecture and Interior Design at the College of Engineering in the University of Bahrain. He's a certified consultant in landscape architecture and urban design. He's accompanied by Faiza Al Gamadi, a self-employed interior designer who is currently pursuing her master's in interior architecture. Professor Islam, could you start your presentation now?
Yes, okay. I am starting now. Okay. I would like to minimize this. Okay. And yes, can you see my screen, please?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, sorry, I missed this one. I apologize. I will go for the other, yeah, this one. Okay. Okay, very good. Yes, okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. It's my pleasure to be today, me and Ms. Faiza, to share our experience in presenting one of the dealing in designing for urban spaces, especially for the outdoor spaces in Saudi Arabia. Just before we start in this point, I would like to have introduction for this presentation, and then Ms. Faiza will follow with me. Here we are talking about that we have a huge project in Saudi Arabia, which is become a challenge to how far we can attract people to come to invest and work and even use with these spaces. At the end of the day, we are looking about that to how far people can come to say, I like this place, or I would like to do something similar or invest on this part. So the main issue that when we go to similar or to go to design urban projects, especially for outdoor spaces, we go to attract people, as we said before. We have to interest people to come to this project, as well to create intimate space and give the users for this area unforgettable memories, so become stuck in their memory about that, to how far they were happy in this area and so on. So these questions, when we have to answer these questions by doing a project, we have to think about it, to how far we can convince the client from the beginning to invest and to do this, and to give him a background that he will gain a good reward from such project when he involved in this part. We talk about that there is what we call it phenomenology theories in designing the space. We believe that this phenomenology, which is dealing with the sight and identity and culture and human senses, and respect behavior and the activities of users for the space. We believe that this theory will help people to enjoy using this space. And we have some references from, for example, Alto. He's one of the famous architects, and he talked about this phenomenology in terms of the humanistic approach. As well, we have for Lipskin, and he has again supported the idea of this using phenomenology in international project. We have Glenn as well. He talked about it from the economic point of view and from energy saving. We have Alvaro Cesar as well, about using the lighting for the projects and lighting and so on. And this Tado Ando as well, in his project, he care about the phenomenology in this part. We started doing this like literature review about famous architect to see to how far this phenomenology is important in designing the spaces. So we have to care about this point when we come to doing design. So our presentation will go just to give a brief about the landscape architecture work, and then to go for the design in Al-Khobar as a case study. So, you know, all of us, we have knowledge about world landscape architecture, but it's not only landscape, because there's some misleading when we go to explain what's the meaning of landscape architecture. So we deal with people, users in the space, in different parts, and it should come with designing for open spaces, and in using the hardscape and the softscape. So designing the space with the users, or to respect users' opinion. We have like tools when we design this in terms of hardscape or softscape, planters, landforms, seating, furnitures, and so on. All of this, the landscape architecture elements are important when we design it. So here, for example, some project we just give to insert some photos to explain what we are targeting about having this landscape architecture, because we would like to keep in a vision that we have to design street furniture, we have design lighting, we have design for parking, we have to design even for the tiles, and all of this they have to meet together to control the sense of users, because our target here is to give the sense of for the users, for the place, for any places what they come to visit it, to how far this place is intimate, how far this place is related to their sense, and they feel comfortable. Regularly, when we deal with such a project, we need to design it according to time, according to place, according to the activities, and the qualitative performance of the voids itself. Here, I would like to leave the floor for Ms. Faiza to talk about Ajdan work, which is a famous project in Al Khobar, and then I will come back to come with the conclusion for my presentation. Faiza, please, can you start, please? I will move from here. Just tell me next, and then I will go for next, please.
Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, please.
Would you please move to the next slide?
Yeah.
So to start with, applying, first of all, phenomenology is defined as the human experience of events, places. It's in architecture, it's the human-centered design. Also can be defined as the manipulation of space to create a sense of place, a spatial experience for each person, and it targets the senses of the human. Next. The criteria that I have used to evaluate the project is in two parts: the bodily experience, and which is through the sensation, and the architectural values, as does it apply the aesthetics, does it apply the sociality or comfort and the human value in this project or not. Next. The project is part of a big project that has a residential spaces, a cinema, Ajdan Walk, which I will speak about now, and the Fairmount in front of the Ajdan Rise. Ajdan Walk is a dynamic cultural hub. The site, the design of the site was designed in accordance to the surrounding area. The area has many restaurants in the place, but the Ajdan Walk is unique, combined multiple restaurants and cafes in one place. But you don't only go to dine and go. They wanted the place to be diverse in activities. It's close to Corniche, Al Khobar Corniche, which is a place which shows that the Ajdan Walk is a place that attracts many people from different age group. It's also close to the Matal, which is a place, or let's say a sitting area in front of Ajdan Rise. The place was designed to block the outer space and make the interior spaces kind of or give it a form of privacy. Sorry, because we would expect that we want the people to experience the place itself. We don't want the people to hear the noise or even the kids, because it would attract many people from different age groups. So we would expect that there will be kids, and they shouldn't be exposed directly to the street. For this project, it applied the phenomenology by giving the place an identity through the sense of place. And creating a sense of place has to apply three important things. The activities, does it make the people do many activities? Does it apply the physical setting, like the scales, the landmark, the architecture of the place? And also, does it give the place meaning? Does it make you remember the place? Does it affect your senses? Does it make you want to come back to the place or not? So these are the components of the place identity. Next. The unique landscape of the architecture makes the people do different activities. They come, they sit, they walk. It's also, I could say that giving a place identity happens through the interaction not only with self, but also with the space. And the design of this landscape of this project allowed the people to interact with one another. And it also gave the people or made the people do multiple activities and made the place alive and gave it a vibrant made the place a vibrant place. The human senses, once you come in to the place, there is two entrances, one in the main entrance, and this is the second entrance from the parking lot. Once you come in to the doctor, can you play the video? On the left, yes. Okay, it doesn't have sound, no problem. As you can see, there is a waterfall, a fountain from your left and your right. Once you come in, you listen to the sound of the water, and this could connect you to nature. And it's very important to connect people to nature because it affects their well-being and their mental and physical health. It also reduces the water or fountains in general in parks. It reduces the climate by 3 degrees Celsius. And also, yes, and so it provides cooling and limiting the solar radiation of the place. Yes, so the water, unfortunately, the sound, I don't know why does it play the sound, but anyway, the sound of the water in general, it gives you a relaxation feeling, and it's not very noisy, and it also helps to reduce the human noise. So it gives you a relaxation, makes you relax in this place and enjoy the place. So when I visited the place, the only noise that I heard in this place is coming from the inside of the restaurants. It's all glass, the area, all the restaurant has a glass front. So of course you're gonna easily listen to the music that is coming from the inside of these restaurants. So this could be, otherwise the place is not really that noisy. It's really a beautiful place. Next. Next, doctor, yes. Consideration of visual impact of the human. So in this project, light and shadow played a major role in this project because all the restaurants has a big opening. So the light inside the inside and the light of the restaurant is helping to light up the empty spaces and the open spaces. It's a sustainable approach. Yes, so it make the place active at night and even in the daylight. So you wouldn't feel at night, you wouldn't feel, and you will see in the next pictures. Yeah. So as you can see, you wouldn't feel that the place is dark or depressing, or it's active, it's alive by the use of the light, and even the material, the flooring material play a major role in this in the lighting aspect. The consideration of touch, they used multiple and different materials. You see, as you can see on the right, this is Nando's restaurant. They have stone, and it has a texture. Maybe in this picture it's not clear, but it has a rough texture, so you could feel, you could touch it, you could sense it through by looking at it only. And the use of wood, the use of metal. Considering the people's behaviors and activities, as I said in the beginning, people come here not only to dine, and as you can see in these pictures, some people are standing, some people are coming just to walk. The landscape encourage people to walk and engage with one another. You can come to this place to do other activities other than just dine and sit. Yes, yeah, you can go to the cinema, and also, as I said, maybe I said this in the beginning, there's an office, so you would come to this place to work. Yes, next, I said, yeah. So as we can see, we have in these pictures different people from different age groups enjoying the place. So it's a very family friendly place. Next. We also have a small stage on the, or let's say next to the same fountain place. What happened? A small stage for maybe events or activities, and it happened to find these people playing oud and music in the same area or stage. Doctor?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hang it. Can you share from your side? This is a. Do you have the file, correct?
Should I? Okay, I will share.
I will try to share again, okay?
Okay.
No, it is from the PowerPoint. Please, can you share from your side, please? Sorry.
No problem.
Can you see here from my side?
Yes.
Okay. This is a video. Yes, please.
Yes. Next slide.
Professor, can you try unmuting on your laptop?
Me?
No, Professor. Who is sharing it?
Doctor.
Professor. The doctor, can you try unmuting it on your laptop?
Okay. So for the third thing, I don't remember if it's the third. Considering the culture of Saudi Arabia, as we know, the culture of Saudi Arabia is Islamic culture. So most of the buildings, even houses, are built or it consider the mosque places. So you design around the mosque, or if you don't have, or the mosque are away from the place, you would add like a praying area. So Ajdan Waqf doesn't have a praying area because simply there is a mosque near to the place. You can even walk to the mosque. Also, another thing about the Saudi culture is that it's a family-oriented culture. So if we would design a park or a public open space, we would expect for the different ages and different genders to come to this place. And also people privacy is very important in this culture. So privacy for women or for families. So we would expect, I wouldn't say segregation, like complete segregation, even though it's the culture, but a form of privacy can help and for the people to, and especially women, to connect with the open, or to use even the open area, and to connect with the surrounding landscape. The last thing that I have to mention is that the design of this place is inclusive for mobility disabled people, and for babies. You can bring your babies. They have elevator. They used ramps in the two entrances, and they used auto doors for the mobility users, disabled. Sorry. This is one of the entrances. As we can see, there is a stair, and on the right we have a ramp. I also want to mention that there is no stairs inside. Once you're inside, there is no stairs. Even going to every single restaurant is very easy using your wheelchair or driving your baby in their I don't know what they call it. So the implementation of phenomenology in this project has been applied successfully through the consideration of the site, giving the place an identity. It's very unique. It stands out in that area. It considered the human senses. It also considered the human behavior and activities and the Saudi culture. The way I evaluated the place is the sound. As I said, it's not that noisy, and it's not that noisy except from the restaurant. So I gave it 4 out of 5. The visual impact is very. I think it's very attractive. It has a very unique architecture, and it's very. It attracts people easily and make you go and come back to the place. The senses is all okay except the smell. I don't know. For me, I did not felt anything through the smell. Yes, you can smell some food if you're close to the restaurants, but I don't know. It didn't impact me. So this is my own evaluation. The aesthetics, sociality, and comfort, 5 out of 5. And the human value, I would give it 4 because I thought that since kids will come to this place, I thought it would be better if they made a place for the kids. And some women need like a complete segregation between gender segregation places. So I don't know. I didn't find that in that place. In conclusion, the design of this project attracted users for urban project, for this urban place. The designer utilized the open spaces to make people interested, and they want to come back to this place. They also made the place intimate and made the people to interact with each other. And also the final thing, the place is unforgettable, make you remember this place through the design of the smart design of this landscape. You can go ahead.
Yes, if you allow me. Okay, yeah, So end of the day, that we can see from this presentation in a very brief, that the using of the landscape architecture elements in these designs give the designers the tools that he came to control all the senses for the users once they landed to this project. So end of the day, the achievement here comes with the integration between the landscape architecture work and the bodily experience that had been done by Faiza in this project. It was not only by her, but she presented her sense of a user as a female, and have the opportunity to go to Gambag many times. So they come up with this evaluation to show how far this phenomenology it's one of the key factors to success the project. This is the end of our presentations, and I hope we had presented the way of thinking of using phenomenology in the landscape architecture work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Islam and Faiza, for that enlightening presentation. Next, we have David Carey. He is the head of KSA FM Consulting at International Real Estate Partners. With over a decade of experience in the Middle East FM industry, he has played a key role in overseeing many transformational projects in Saudi. His experience spans over 4 decades of maintaining and operating complex platforms, property infrastructure, and ERP systems across the world. He will give a presentation on the digital strategies in Saudi's FM industry. David? Hello? David, can you hear me?
I can indeed. Coming in now. Should be getting video as well. There we go.
Yeah, we can see you.
Excellent. Okay. And ready to start. Confirm you've got screen?
We can see it. Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to kick off with today, as kindly introduced, is digital strategies in the built environment in Saudi. My focus specifically is to try and provide some stimulation and updates on the relevant topics. We've covered various things in the previous panel discussion. One I want to cover in particular is a new ISO standard. There's a digital infrastructure impact, which will be focused on. And then to look at the post-COVID lockdown impact, very topical for those people who are no longer having to work remotely, now going back to a hybrid activity. And the digital transformation itself as a project, and then just as a teaser, top 10 points. So the new ISO standard, specifically what we're looking at is ISO 19650. This is part 1, issued in 2018. The references will all be available via the organization that is presenting this set of presentations and seminars. And so on the basis, I won't read them out and go to them by links, but in particular, for a focus of part 1 is concepts and principles. And 19650 is not as well known as classically the 9001s or even the latter 41001s, but it is specifically focused on the digitalization and digitization of information through building information modeling and developing information management, which again, several of the people have alluded to in the previous panel. Part 1 looks at the concepts and principles, and in terms of the whole life cycle of any built asset. And this is something quite specific with so many buildings that are so new and have only been constructed in the last couple of decades. It is a bit of a conundrum in trying to forecast based on the experience of the previous presenters when you're looking at an architect saying, how long will this building last for? What's its design useful life? So 19650 combines all of these aspects and takes it through the transition, through testing, commissioning, and handover. And on the basis that it doesn't slow things down, it is designed that you can demonstrate either as a facilities management consulting or services operation, or indeed if a building wants to attract a high spec of tenant that wants to have sustainability and all the digital functionality, having 19650 for a property developer is itself also a good place to go. The associated international standards, just touching on these briefly, 41001 was published in 2018, that's 2.5 years ago now. And on the basis that there is also a series of others in a series of 41001, and one I will draw your attention to is 41016, which is a work in progress. It's not currently published, but coming soon, hopefully in the next year, 41016, we'll look at the technology in FM. Digital infrastructure impact. A smart building, and the use of the term smart is obviously applied in many other digital projects, but it's to be specific, measurable, assignable, realistic, and time-bound. So in relation to a project or something within the built environment, what we're looking at is for infrastructure, is that anybody that's using this in order to make it an automatically controlled facility. So as Jason and others that were saying in the original panel, that it does affect how you run the modern building. If it's included from the outset, the unit cost is significantly lower per item and per sensor than if they are then retrofitted when a building is actually put into place. And what we're seeing is that across a whole variety of different methodologies and operations and systems within a building, it is possible to link these together within the infrastructure, often using low voltages and fiber optics to be able to get the data input back and also on Wi-Fi. But it can be overdone. One of the things I would stress is that whilst the passion may be there for people to be able to monitor and to take these sensors, what we have to make sure is that we're getting the right volume of data and that we're storing it safely and it's cyber secure, and also the fact that we're making best use of that data in the metadata. So there's everything from fuzzy logic in fridges that knows what you're going to be taking out of a given dairy display in a supermarket, through to microprocessors that can now predict what people are going to do and how fast they're going to walk and how many people will come through a given door. So there are a lot of these different sensors which, when we put them together in 19650, what they come down to, and these are one of the abbreviations, I know we're all very fond of it within the world of FM, but quite specifically, what we're looking at is the information requirement. And for that, what we're looking at the airs, the ears, the oils, and the peers. So it's for the assets, the exchange, the organization, and the project. And if all that information, as per 19650 and other guidance institutions, is collated in the right way, then that means that there are specific benefits that can be gleaned by putting digitalization into a property. So at this pre-design stage, if that's can be included, it can then be costed in, and therefore the capex and opex in relation to the overall development cost of the property can be assessed. And that means that, again, as was mentioned in the hot topic of sustainability and waste management, that the environmental impact of the building can now be measured. And over the life cycle of a property, there are benefits specifically, which are, for example, a reduced insurance cover, because if you're running it more effectively, if your maintenance costs are lower, if items are not wearing out and there's less risk of fire, flood, or other crises, on that basis, optimizing the space, specifically important now, as we are coming up to the end of Q1 of 2022, we now have this challenge where organizations are expecting people to be attending in a commercial office more frequently, Is that the optimal way that that organization will run? The use of 19650 and the softwares that go with it, I won't mention any particularly by name, there are 2 or 3 major leaders, and on that basis, how you best use that software can then determine how you're making best use of the building. So moving on to the connectivity, that buildings aren't connected as they were 10, 20 years ago, and certainly before that. And therefore, what is it we're trying to achieve? And how are we going to make sure that we can have this accommodating future technology as it comes in? So Moore's Law, classic part that many people will have heard of before, that you double the capacity of the integrated chip every 2 years, and with storage costs coming down, becoming cheaper each year. And if that's the case, then new facilities can indeed be developed and assessed as being smart. But it is a label that sometimes is a bit of a cliche. People call it a smart building, and it's got some dimensions of smart, but it's not a fully integrated. And there's no specific rule or regulation. What we're able to do now with certain aspects of the technology is that where the rollout of 5G, for example, in some countries is now picking up pace, the IoT can link everything from infrared sources and LEDs and renewable energy. You can also couple it in terms of thermal to track the temperature variations in a building during the day, which is absolutely critical in relation to Saudi Arabia, where, as everybody knows, we can have single figure centigrade temperatures in mid-January, and regularly in maybe a week in July or August, figures over 50 degrees. So with that seasonal variation and the diurnal variation, the buildings grow and shrink, absolute measurable dimension changing. So on that basis, what we need to be able to have is the right glass that will allow the minimal amount of heat to come in from the sun. That lowers the air conditioning. And on that basis, that again, there are methods by which we can do this. There's a whole variety of companies. I've just taken a selection of probably about half a dozen that are there, of those who are some of the market leaders, and apologies to any company that's looking at it saying we should be on that list. I'm just saying that those that are significant in terms of activities within the region, and that they can use their own building automated software systems. And if you then combine the use of the automated software with the smart FM, then that does present opportunities to compare year on year, month on month, quarter on quarter, significant reductions in the consumption of energy and the utility bills in the workspace environment. So overall, the figure that was published by IFMA about 5 years ago, that over 80% of the life cycle cost of the building is its operations and management phase. And with the greatest respect to the previous speakers, when you're looking at the architecture and the design, pre-design and construction, and including at the end of the life cycle, even the demolition phase, these rarely exceed 15% of the total life cycle cost of the building. So in terms of Saudi Arabia, let's look at some of the digital initiatives that have been launched by the country. Saudi has, from an objective point of view, this is something that I'm studying as part of the PhD that I'm 2/3 the way through, but Saudi really has climbed the ladder in terms of grasping opportunity, seeing what can be achieved and applying methodologies and processes responsible and different universities and institutes and ministries all playing their part in the overall scheme. Vision 2030 is now being reviewed for what's going to come on after that. But as the spin-off from Vision 2030, which considered to be quite inspirational at the time, digital transformation is a key part of one of the components of Vision 2030. It's not just about necessarily saving energy or how to move the country forward. So some of these links that are there, if you haven't seen them, by all means take a screen capture as we're working the way through. And this is on the basis of part of this presentation to encourage a wider knowledge, a spreading of the respect and of encouraging people to take part and understand what these individual units are trying to achieve. So the NDU, as it's known as, National Digital Transformation Unit, exists. That's the website. And there it gives examples for those for whom English is not their mother tongue or their native language, that there are significant differences between the three words, which are very closely aligned in terms of digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. And I apologize to those who are more used to the American spelling where we're using Z's rather than S's, but those are good sources to go and have a look at. Digital infrastructure, we're looking at amazing successes, specifically in the last 10 years by Saudi Arabia in terms of extending the fiber optic network, particularly through PPP arrangements into residential and commercial facilities, increasing the internet speed itself, which therefore allows you to achieve what we're doing today. And the internet has, through to 2020, it's gone up significantly by over 100 megs within Saudi Arabia over that period of time. We're now into the third action plan for Saudi Arabia, which is from last year through to 2024. And the focus on that is to make sure that we have a smart government within the country. Beyond Vision 2030, PwC, not plugging them as a specific company, but I have high respect for the quality of the output of their national studies amongst a whole range of others. And they've produced a sample, which is downloadable from this particular site, of what they believe we need to be looking at now, or the country needs to be looking at beyond 2030. And also within that, there is an upcoming event, which is the Saudi Arabia Digital Transformation Summit on the 10th of August, 2022 in Riyadh. So by all means, have a Google of that for coming up event. And that's the link that we need to follow. Okay, so on to the post-COVID lockdown impact section of this presentation. What I'm looking at here is just, it's highlighting some of the things that have been detected and reported on by a variety of different organizations, like in community management or construction management magazines when they're coming out, whether it's the soft version or the hard version. They are great opportunities for individuals to spread the word about how have we responded, and in relation to an organization similar to your own, how are people getting it right, or maybe still have some way to go. So in terms of the abbreviations, there's working from home and working remotely, on that basis that there is a shift globally in the way that a lot of people have been working, some on a permanent basis. But it does mean that in terms of what were standard designs, conventional best practices, some of those have been turned on their head, and there's a variety of different ways to reduce the contamination or potential infection of individuals. Hot areas where people go through, specific doors now are auto opening, whereas before there was never the budget for it, just to prevent people all touching on the same door handle. So what we're looking at here, combination of infrared cameras, and you can see how this now starts to link back into the use of AI and 5G, where the sensors and the outputs of these particular facilities can then be put together. And this helps in terms of business continuity planning, disaster recovery planning, and reaction teams. Black and UV lights have been becoming very popular on the basis of doing the spot checks within washrooms in particular and high contact areas to check that there's no more infection. Okay, second of the two slides on this one is more focused on risk mitigation. And what I would certainly recommend is that deploying safe space management software. There are many available, and the modern understanding of how to do 3D modeling and how to be able to make use of scanners to make this more effective. That's coming up on almost a monthly basis now, where people achieve more and then share their ideas. On the basis of how you have an impact upon your customers, I would strongly support the use of surveys and spot questionnaires and feedback mechanisms, so that the FM companies, in relation to individuals that perhaps they never meet, get metadata and data back in from customer surveys to say, how are we actually doing? How do you like the new building? And so adjusting everything as we go through it, and the principle that facilities management is all about the transfer of risk. Therefore, as we migrate, as was touched on at the very outset, from an input to an output specification, and as we outsource more services, we are going from a task, resource, time-based set of measuring now to performance standards, often with less resources, deployed more effectively and productively to achieve a higher standard. Simple tasks, as we've seen all around the world, where the marking out of keep your safe distance has been put down onto the floors, as those start to get peeled away, where countries have declared themselves that we're through the worst of the COVID pandemic, then still people will be at a creature habit, as it were, of standing at a certain distance. So you've got to say, do you have the capacity for the queues? Because the queues are not standing as close as they used to. They are knock-on effects of what the pandemic will leave behind. Certainly, as stuff has been moved around, as office furniture was taken and delivered to people who were working remotely from their homes, there is a migration of this set of assets and furniture to come back into the workplace. And so what we've got now in terms of the QRC codes that we can apply with the labels in order to be able to see where things are supposed to be, and communicating all of these different benefits. So as we look at it now, the digital transformation itself, the specific opportunities, these are the impacts that if we do it and we get it right, that if you apply the barcodes, locations, and the stock control, then that leads to benefits straight onto the bottom line, because what we're doing is conducting smart buying, and therefore there are purchase savings to be achieved. If we do smart work, which is planned and measured better, using digitalization deployed to control the resources, because statistically between 65 and 70% of all FM costs are based on the human resources deployed, then we can raise the productivity of those mobile teams. And if we can hit these KPI targets for an 85%, then the use of CAFMs and dashboards, the communications, less meetings, more instant reviews, and using applications on mobile phones. The new techniques and tasks, well, for management, they can make better decisions. People are happier where they work. Costs will need to be adjusted. And by the remote monitoring, we'll be able to make better facility management. We can update our priorities better with digitalization, and we can conduct training, which is more specific, attuned to the capabilities and competencies of individuals, and that we can therefore make sure that every place is COVID risk averse and stays that way, where there are still little successive breakouts. So what you end up with is a multidisciplinary task force that's going through a period of transition, able to deliver better services, which means the end users have a better experience, which means that the occupancy satisfaction rates go up, and therefore the developers are more likely to get a better return on their funds. So all of those stakeholders, if involved, digitalization allows that changing of information. And finally, moving on to the top 10 points, this is what we're aiming to do, is to have smart buildings, therefore they bring in agile differentiators. So which company do you choose? The one that can give you the best optimal use of your smart building. If the technology is there and you're applying Moore's law and responding, not using outdated software, but Saudi Arabia is leading the world on this basis, is that it was selected in the last G20 assessment. Saudi Arabia has made the most investment and the most changes in the last 10 years. So in relation to COVID-19, it will still be with us in pockets and protocols and safety for some months or years yet to come, reducing hopefully as soon as it can be, but there still have to be safety precautions. And therefore we need to have the output, not input ways, and we have to adopt those new ways. Flexibility, transformation. The employees, specifically within Saudi Arabia, when we're looking at the development, support and mentoring of Saudi young graduates and employees to ensure not only that we get the NITICAT rating, which is legally required, but also that we offer a career for Saudi graduates in facilities management. And Carpe Diem, seize the day. We need to upgrade the opportunity, absorbing ISO 19650, 41016 and the like, and following up with the Saudi national initiatives, which I touched on previously. If we apply those standards, then we have the requirements that we can adapt. You learn what's best, and upcoming, only within the last 2 years, I would give a hearty endorsement to the Saudi FM Association, still in its nascent development stage. But if anybody is part of the Saudi community and they work in facilities management, have a Google of the link there and help them develop and join and learn yourselves. So we're communicating, and that's part and parcel of this presentation. And by leading and managing, we help spread the word. Number 10, plan ahead. Think long term, but act now, and that will help you get through the digital world. And that's it. I think I'm just under the 20 minutes, which will please the organizers. Are there any questions, please?
Not at the moment. Thank you, David. Thank you, Professor. I'll see you for the next panel discussion, which will begin at 4:30 p.m. and we'll discuss the digital strategies driving the various verticals of the built environment. Thank you.
Okay, it's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure. My pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.